Hi guys, it's Warren, your basic artist, back again with another video. I have to admit, this video is kind of a bit of a last minute kind of idea, sort of concept. I've completely renovated my working space, so I've got the artwork done which you're seeing now, but I never actually had a video kind of polished. I was kind of moving things around, so I thought we'd use this to do another story time. I quite enjoyed doing those. I like talking, I like sitting down and going through my thoughts, and the story time kind of idea for this video is my art journey and where I see myself progressing in the future. Now, I started drawing, well, the joke my mum says is as soon as I could hold a pencil, I began drawing anything from like little stick men and things like that to eventually like my favourite cartoons. I was a huge fan of things like the Looney Tunes and Hanna-Barbera shows like the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Top Cat, like old shows that used to be on in the 90s. And then eventually got into Pokemon and I became obsessed with drawing Pokemon. I would draw from the Pokemon cards and the strategy guides that I had for the games, and then eventually Dragon Ball came into my life, which I've spoke about before, and then that's when I started going on a mad sort of anime and manga drawing spree, and I never really looked back. But yeah, I guess I could go a bit into my life really and how art has directed me. When I was in primary school, or I guess if you're American you would call it like kindergarten and elementary school. Yeah, elementary school you would call it. I wanted to be an animator. I wanted to do like basically animate cartoons. I didn't really fully know what an animator was, I just liked drawing cartoons. As I got older, I still loved drawing, but I kind of didn't want to go down the animation route, and I wanted to become a graphic designer. I wanted to work on video game magazines or guitar magazines, so I started doing learning Photoshop and things like that, and I ended up going to college to do a BTEC National Diploma in Multimedia, which is basically like your route for graphic design, and it was like an art diploma, and that was great. I'd done some internships at different companies, not through the college, through finding them on my own, and they said to me, oh, you need a portfolio. So I went away and, you know, was like, oh, okay, I've got to do a portfolio. And so I'd done this really cool physical portfolio that I could take to interviews and things like that. And one of the managers of the company I was interning at was like, you should really have a website portfolio. Now, this is back in 2006. So like website portfolios, they weren't that big, but like it gave you an edge if you had one, you know? But I didn't know how to build a website, so I asked a friend who I knew how to build websites, and he's like, well, I could build you one, but I'm going to have to charge you £250. Now, I was 16, like unless you're rich, no 16-year-old has £250 lying about. So I decided to teach myself how to build a website, and I built my first website, which I called WP Digital. I won't tell you what the P stands for because that is my second name. But yeah, I started that website, and with all my sort of portfolio on it, and I interviewed for a job as a graphic designer, and they're like, well, we're looking for someone that's like that can do graphics, but you know, would also work on the website. And that started my journey of basically falling into a web designer job, which I ended up becoming a web developer. And it was kind of I'm now looking at a career change, funny enough, from being a web developer, because I've been a web developer ever since, and I've never really loved it. It's kind of something I just fell into, and I never really got to that point of like thoroughly enjoying my job. It paid well sometimes, sometimes it didn't, but it you know, you have to learn so much, and things change, like with the birth of AI and stuff like that, like learning how to integrate AI and just different languages and frameworks. It got very technical, and it kind of stripped away from the person I was, which is a creative person. I like to create, I like to draw, I like to animate. You know, I wasn't doing anything creative. I basically forced myself away from a creative job and into a job that was very technical and very tiresome. So my art also took a step back, because I didn't want to be sitting at a computer working in Photoshop and programs like that, which I use every day at work, not to design but to take web designs from. It's like the last thing you want to do is, when you finish work, is look at the same program you've been looking at for 8 hours every day. So everything took a hit by becoming a web designer and a web developer. So now I'm looking at a career change, and I started doing this YouTube stuff. I've now started to think, what do I want to do? And that's where this story really leads to, is, you know, what's my art journey from here? Well, I've been doing a ton of tutorials, because as you can see, I mainly draw stuff Shonen Jump style manga, so One Piece, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z especially. But I really want to get into some of that really cool stylized anime art that you see. So I've been doing tutorials on learning dynamic poses and how to do like digitally color, like something that isn't, because I do cell shading, which is what most, you know, Dragon Ball Z and Naruto style animes are. They're cell shaded. I'm trying to learn more, like, I think they call it stylized shading, and, you know, blending and things like that. So I'm constantly teaching myself and constantly growing, because I think with art there is no ceiling. If you've got the basic principles, there is no ceiling, as long as you're willing to learn and be patient with it. And I'm thinking about actually sharing my sort of like journey on YouTube of learning new stuff. So even if I draw something that's like terrible, you know, maybe I can show it as like, this is an anime female, for example, because I'm really bad at drawing female anime characters. But let's say this is an anime female anime character that I've come up with, an original character, and then redrawing her maybe like 3 months down the line. Oh, this is what I've achieved in those 3 months. Like a concept similar to that or something. But just showing that, you know, I want to inspire people that are out there that are watching this and, you know, that view my channel, is that, you know, it's never too late, especially when it comes to art, because art has no ceiling. Like, and that goes for any art. Whether like, if you want to learn guitar, you're never too old to learn guitar. I knew someone actually a few years back who started teaching himself guitar when he was like 45, 46 years old. So again, and he got pretty good. I mean, you know, not like he wasn't the next Eric Clapton or anything, but he was pretty damn good. You could play chords and play basic songs, and that's all you really need, you know. So there's no ceiling to art. So never look at stuff and think, oh, I'll never be that good, because honestly, really, what is art? What is painting? What is drawing? It's a few lines, a few shapes, and a bit of imagination. As long as you have that imagination, as long as you have that creativity, as long as you have that feeling inside you, then I promise you that you can get better. And, you know, maybe I can show you that by showing my learning journey and my growing as an artist, because hopefully maybe in a year's time I can upgrade from Warren the basic artist to Warren the slightly better but still kind of basic artist, you know, baby steps. But yeah, that's kind of my idea for my art journey going forward. I know this has been a bit of a random kind of video, but you know, it's cool to sit down and chat sometimes, and I kind of like it. I find it quite therapeutic, and it's something that I can look back on in the future and be like, oh yeah, I did say that, what an idiot. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got for today. I guess the underlying thing is there is no ceiling on creativity. There is no ceiling on art. So pick up a pencil, pick up a guitar, enjoy your art, and I'll see you soon. Peace.